All right, well, let's now go to favorite money line bet then. Pearce, you're up.
I'm going to go with the Bengals. So we pulled data from the last 20 years. We look at the AFC North and games with a projected total of 40 or less. So we're not expecting a lot of points. And in those games, the underdog has won 7 of those 8 games. I like that trend. I like the Bengals. I know the Bengals are resting some players, but the Browns are resting some players as well. The Browns didn't see, even the players that they put on the field on Monday night, didn't seem like they were trying that hard. On paper, any way you want to look at it, the Bengals are a better team. Brandon Allen's not a terrible quarterback. He was halfway decent on a really bad team last year. If you look at the Browns, they got 14 players on the injury list. Some of those guys aren't going to play. Some of those guys are going to go out and not even care because it's the last game of the season. The Bengals still have some seeding to play for here. I like the Bengals to win outright, and that's what the trend says is going to happen.
All right, Geoff, who do you like here on the money line?
So we've already talked ad nauseum about the Steelers. I mean, Pearce laid it all out. I think just taking the Steelers on the money line plus 170 is absolutely fine. So I'm going to talk about a different game here with bigger odds too. And I think like you could think about, there's multiple underdogs I think are in play this week. Pearce laid out the Bengals. I think the Bears are in play. What do the Vikings have to play for? I think if anything, this Vikings team will probably be happy if they lose because it's a better chance Mike Zimmer isn't coming back. This defense has absolutely quit on Mike Zimmer. They're not good at guarding against wide receiver position at all. You've got Darnell Mooney, who was targeted 13 times by Andy Dalton last week. I think he's in line for a big game. The offense, I get it. Like the Bears offense isn't good, but this Vikings team, man, I just don't know what they have to play for. Are they really just going to march Justin Jefferson out there for 20 targets? I don't know. And even if they do, you still have Kirk Cousins back there playing quarterback. So I think a plus 185. The Bears are the team here with more motivation. Andy Dalton probably fighting for a contract next year. I don't know what the Vikings are playing for, except for perhaps the hope that Mike Zimmer won't be back. So I really like the Bears here. I think they're very live at plus 185.
Steve, who you feeling on the money line, dude?
No, I need to respond. Pearce, when was the last time that trend hit? You said you went back 20 years. When was the last time that trend hit?
I think it was 2012.
2012. Pearce, this is 2022. This is week 18. What does that trend have to do with anything for today, for this week?
It's a decade rule, Steve. It's like you throw something on the ground, it's 10 seconds. Pierce is going by the decade rule.
He is the oldest man that we have on this show, mentally, not physically, mentally. Okay, let's talk about a money line. Who bets money lines anymore? Does anybody bet money lines? I certainly don't, but I'm going to answer the question. The Chargers are going to beat the Raiders, okay? That is probably the most enticing money line on here, minus 160. You can look at that game last week for the Raiders and, they kind of gave the Colts a run for their money. They gave the Colts a run for their money because the Colts cannot play when they're behind, because then they have to rely upon Carson Wentz. And when you have to rely upon Carson Wentz, that's when the team doesn't win. So if you go ahead of the Colts, you're going to cruise in the playoffs here. The Chargers should have no problem against this team, against the Raiders. They can't stop the run. We'll talk about Austin Eckler in a minute here. Chargers should absolutely run train on this Raiders team. Minus 160 on the money line. Give me that one, babe.